The message came from beyond the edge of known space. It was weak and broken, like a whisper carried across too great a distance. But it was clear enough for the receivers on Earth's Luna base to pick it up. Dr. Alan Foster stood at his desk, coffee growing cold beside his keyboard. His eyes were fixed on the screen where strange symbols flashed and shifted. After 20 years at NASA's Deep Space Communications Division, he had seen many odd signals. Random bursts from distant stars, the regular pulses of neutron stars, the background hiss of the universe itself. But this was different. "Run it through the translator again," he said to his assistant. The young woman nodded and tapped at her keyboard. The computer hummed as it worked through the alien language. Minutes passed. Then words appeared on the screen, halting and imperfect. "Help. War. Death comes. We are not fighters. Any who hear, please help." Alan read the words 3 times. He picked up his phone and made a call that would change humanity's path forever. At the Pentagon, Captain Samantha Wells stood at attention as General Frank Murphy read the report. The room was silent except for the soft hum of air conditioning. "You believe this is real?" Murphy asked, looking up at Alan. "Yes, sir," Alan said. "We've confirmed it's not coming from any known source in our star system. The signal originated approximately 47 light-years away, in the Cygnus arm. And you're certain it's a distress call?" Murphy pressed. Alan nodded. "Our best linguists are still working on the full message, but the parts we've translated are clear. They call themselves the Elorians. They describe themselves as peaceful, with limited military capacity. They're being attacked by something called the Vex Horde." Captain Wells stepped forward. "Sir, if I may, the new Earth Defense Force vessel Horizon is ready for deep space travel. Its jump drive was certified last month." Murphy stroked his chin. "You're suggesting we send a military vessel to investigate an alien distress call? This could be a trap. Or it could be exactly what it seems," Samantha replied. "A peaceful race asking for help. If humans can respond," she let the implications hang in the air. Lisa Blackwood, the military analyst who had been quietly taking notes, finally spoke. "From a strategic perspective, this presents an opportunity. Humanity has been developing faster than light travel for only 15 years. We're new to the galactic community. Responding to this call could establish us as a power willing to help others." Murphy was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Captain Wells, how quickly can the Horizon be ready for a rescue mission?" 72 hours, sir. We can load supplies and assemble a crew by then." "Do it," Murphy said. "Dr. Foster, you'll go as our scientific advisor. Captain Wells will command. Take a company of Marines and a diplomatic team. Find these Elorians and assess the situation. Do not engage this Vex Horde unless absolutely necessary." As they left the meeting, Alan caught up to Samantha in the hallway. "You realize what this means, right? First official contact with an alien species." Samantha nodded. "And possibly our first interstellar war." 3 days later, the Horizon prepared for departure from Earth's orbit. The ship was the pride of human engineering, 400 meters long, powered by the newest fusion engines, and equipped with experimental jump drive technology that allowed it to cross vast distances by briefly slipping into another dimension. In her quarters, Samantha reviewed the mission briefing one last time. 40 crew members, 20 Marines under Commander Derek Johnson, 5 diplomats led by Dr. Noah Patterson, their top xenolinguist, 3 engineers headed by Kelly Rodriguez, and Alan Foster, who understood the alien message better than anyone. Knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she called. Alan stepped in, looking tired but excited. "Captain, we've received more transmissions. The linguistics team has been working nonstop. We have a better picture of what we're heading into." He placed a tablet on her desk. It showed images of an elegant, blue-skinned alien race with large, sensitive eyes and 4-fingered hands. They appeared fragile, with slender limbs and delicate features. "The Elorians," Alan explained. "Their civilization is about 3,000 years more advanced than ours in many ways. They've mastered clean energy, medicine, and faster-than-light travel, but they evolved as a peaceful species. Their biology isn't built for conflict, No natural weapons, low muscle density, poor stress responses. He swiped to another image, a dark, heavily armored being with multiple eyes and weaponized limbs, and these are the Vex, a hive-mind species that conquers and consumes. They've already destroyed 3 star systems near Elorian space. The Elorians' technology has kept them safe until now, but the Vex are adapting and overwhelming their defenses. Samantha studied the images. We're smaller than the Vex, not as technologically advanced as the Elorians. Why would either side care about us? Alan smiled grimly. Because of what makes humans unique. Our adaptability, our endurance, our ability to function under extreme stress, and our long history of warfare. The ship's intercom sounded, "Captain to the bridge. Jump. Preparations are complete." Samantha stood. Let's hope we're not too late. The jump was disorienting. For a moment that felt like both an instant and an eternity, the ship existed in 2 places at once. Then reality snapped back, and stars appeared on the view screen. "Jump complete," announced the navigator. "We are at the coordinates received." In the distress call, Samantha looked at the main view screen and felt her breath catch. Before them hung a beautiful blue world, clouded with white swirls and ringed by elegant orbital structures. But many of those structures were damaged or burning. In the distance, dark ships moved in formation, firing weapons that left trails of strange energy. "Scan for communications," Samantha ordered. "Multiple signals detected," replied the communications officer. "Most are automated distress beacons, but I'm picking up live communications from the planet's surface and the largest orbital station." "Open a channel," Samantha said. "Broadcast on all frequencies. This is Captain Samantha Wells of the Earth Defense Force vessel Horizon. We received your distress call and have come to offer assistance." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then the view screen flickered and an alien face appeared. It had pale blue skin, large, liquid eyes, and delicate features etched with worry. "Earth vessel," the alien said in halting English, clearly using translation technology. "I am Ambassador Zil Nara of Eloria. You have come at our darkest hour. The Vex horde has destroyed our outer colonies. They will reach our homeworld within days." Samantha stepped forward. "We're here to help, Ambassador. Tell us what you need." The alien's expression was difficult to read, but its voice carried clear emotion. "You are so few against so many. And yet, you came. No other species answered our call. Humans don't like bullies," Samantha replied simply. "We're sending a shuttle to your station. We need to talk face to face." As the communication ended, Derek Johnson, the Marine commander, stepped up beside her. "Captain, I've been analyzing their weapons fire. Those Vex ships are using some kind of quantum disruption technology. Nothing like we've ever seen." "And their numbers?" Samantha asked. "At least 50 capital ships, maybe hundreds of smaller vessels," Derek replied grimly. Alan, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "We should contact Earth. Tell them what we found. Request reinforcements." Samantha nodded. "Send the message. Include everything we know about both species." She looked back at the view screen, where the battle continued in silence. "And tell them to hurry." The shuttle docked with the Elorian space station with a gentle clang. Samantha led the small team, which included Alan, Noah Patterson the xenolinguist, and 2 Marines. They wore standard EDF uniforms rather than full combat gear, a show of good faith. The airlock cycled open to reveal 3 Elorians waiting. In person, the aliens were even more striking than in images. They stood taller than humans by about a foot, with slender bodies that seemed almost too delicate to support themselves. Their skin was pale blue with faint patterns that shifted slightly, like clouds across a sky. Their large eyes blinked with inner eyelids. Noah stepped forward and made a gesture that the linguistics team had determined was a greeting, placing one hand over his chest and extending the other, palm up. "Ambassador Zilnara," he said carefully. "We come as friends in your time of need." The tallest Elorian stepped forward, mimicking the gesture. "Captain Wells, Dr. Foster, We welcome you to Aloria Station 1. The words came through a small device at the ambassador's throat, translating in real time. Though I wish our meeting came in better times. So do we, Samantha replied. But we're here now. Tell us more about what you're facing. They were led through corridors of sweeping, organic design. Unlike human architecture with its straight lines and angles, Elorian structures curved and flowed like water. The station was beautiful, but showed signs of stress. Repair crews worked on damaged sections, and many Elorians moved with the quick, tight motions of those under extreme pressure. In a large chamber that served as a command center, Zilnara showed them a holographic display of the Elorian star system. The Vex began their attack on our outer colonies 3 months ago, the ambassador explained. At first, we believed we could negotiate. The Vex had never shown interest in our territory before. What changed? Alan asked. A second Elorian, introduced as Science Director Trell, answered. They discovered something about our biology that they want. Our cellular regeneration capabilities. Elorians cannot heal quickly like humans, but our cells can be preserved and revived, long after what you would consider death. The Vex want this for themselves, Zilnara continued. They consume useful traits from species they conquer. They are collectors of biological advantages. Samantha studied the tactical display. Your defenses have held so far? Barely, said the third Elorian, Defense Coordinator Minar. Our technology is advanced, but we lack the instinct for war. Our weapons were designed for protection, not conquest. As they spoke, an alarm sounded. The holographic display shifted to show a distant outpost, a small colony on an outer moon called Proxima Eloria. They're attacking the evacuation ships, Minar said, voice tight with distress. The humans watched as Vex warships surrounded the fleeing civilian vessels. The ships were elegant, like all Elorian design, but clearly not built for combat. One by one, the Vex disabled and captured them. Can't you send fighters? Derek asked. Minar's skin pulsed with dark patterns, a sign of distress. We have sent all available ships, but they will not arrive in time. The room fell silent as they watched the last evacuation ship captured. The Elorians seemed to physically shrink, their bodies sagging with grief. How many were on those ships? Samantha asked quietly. 7,000, Zilnara answered. Mostly scientists and their families. Proxima Eloria was a research outpost. Noah, who had been carefully observing the Elorians, spoke up. You said the Vex capture rather than kill. What happens to those taken? The Elorians exchanged looks that needed no translation. Trell finally answered. The young and healthy are used for biological harvesting. Their genetic material is extracted and incorporated into the Vex collective. The process leaves nothing behind. Samantha felt a cold anger settle in her stomach. She looked at Alan and Derek, seeing the same reaction in their eyes. We need to contact Earth immediately, she said. Show them what's happening here. Later, in a private room assigned to the human delegation, Samantha and her team discussed their options. The message has been sent, Alan confirmed, but it will take time for Earth to respond. Time the Elorians don't have, Noah pointed out. Their outer defenses are failing. The Vex will reach this station within days and the planet shortly after. Kelly Rodriguez, the chief engineer who had joined them from the horizon, spoke up. I've been studying their technology. The Elorians have amazing defensive systems, but they're specifically vulnerable to the quantum disruption weapons the Vex use. It's like the Vex evolved their technology specifically to counter Elorian shields. What about our shields? Derek asked. Earth technology developed independently. Kelly's eyes lit up. That's just it. Our shielding uses completely different principles. The Vex weapons might not be as effective against them. So the Horizon could potentially withstand Vex attacks better than Elorian ships? Samantha asked. In theory, Kelly nodded. But we'd need to test it. Derek had been reviewing tactical data on his tablet. The Vex have numbers, but their attack patterns are predictable. They rely on overwhelming force rather than strategy. They've never needed to adapt because nothing has successfully resisted them. Until now. Samantha said firmly. A soft chime at the door interrupted them. Ambassador Zil-Nara entered, looking somehow both hopeful and hesitant. Captain Wells, may I speak with you? There is something you should understand about humans. From our perspective. Samantha gestured to an empty seat. Of course. The ambassador sat with fluid grace. When your message reached us, our scientists studied all available data on your species. What we learned frightened many of our people. Frightened? Alan asked, surprised. Yes. Zil-Nara's patterns shifted to darker blues. Your biology, your history. You are unlike any species we know. You can withstand physical trauma that would kill an Elorian instantly. Your bodies repair themselves from grievous injuries. You evolved as prey animals, yet became apex predators through intelligence and teamwork. The ambassador leaned forward. And your history of warfare. Elorians have had conflicts, yes, but nothing like the constant state of war humans have lived through. You turned your creative genius toward building increasingly effective ways to kill each other. The room was silent as the humans absorbed this perspective. You see us as dangerous, Noah said softly. We see you as survivors, Zil-Nara corrected. As warriors when necessary. Some among our council feared that inviting humans to our aid might be trading one threat for another. Then why did you broadcast the distress call? Samantha asked. Because we are dying, the ambassador said simply. And because there is something else about humans that gives us hope. Despite your capacity for violence, you also show remarkable compassion. You form bonds beyond your family groups. You protect the weak. You risk yourselves for strangers. The ambassador stood. A Vex scout ship has been damaged and disabled near the fourth planet. If you wish to test your shields against their weapons, this is an opportunity. The ship is small with minimal crew. Samantha looked at her team. Each nodded in turn. We'll investigate this scout ship, she told the ambassador. And ambassador, we understand your concerns. Humans can be dangerous, but we're here to help, not conquer. Zil-Nara made the Elorian gesture of respect. Then perhaps the deadliest beings in the galaxy are exactly what we need. The Horizon approached the disabled Vex scout ship cautiously. The alien vessel hung in space like a dark spider, its hull covered in sharp angles and protruding weapons. Next to the sleek lines of the human ship, it looked brutal and menacing. All, stop at 5 kilometers, Samantha ordered. Scan the vessel for signs of life and activity. Scans show minimal power signatures, reported the sensor officer. There appear to be 5 life forms aboard, likely the crew. Their systems are running on emergency power. Derek stood beside Samantha on the bridge, combat armor gleaming under the lights. Permission to take a team aboard, Captain. We need to understand what we're facing. Samantha nodded. Granted, but this is reconnaissance only. Avoid engagement if possible. And if not possible, Derek asked. Then show them what humans can do, she replied grimly. The boarding team consisted of Derek and 4 Marines. They crossed the space between ships in a small shuttle, magnetic clamps securing them to the Vex hull. Using cutting tools, they created an entry point. Atmosphere is breathable, said Corporal Ben Harris, checking his scanner. Gravity slightly higher than Earth standard. Weapons ready, visors down, Derek ordered. Stay tight, stay quiet. They moved through dark corridors lit only by the red emergency lights and their own helmet beams. The interior was as brutal as the exterior. No comfort, only function. Walls were covered in circuitry and pipes that pulsed with dim light. Like being inside a machine, whispered Private Julia Knight. They found the first Vex in what appeared to be an engine room. The alien was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with a thick exoskeleton and multiple limbs ending in what looked like natural tools. It was working frantically on a damaged system back turned to the humans. Derek signaled his team to hold position. They watched as the Vex worked, studying its movements and form. Without warning, the Vex stopped and turned. Multiple eyes blinked and focused. It made a chattering sound that echoed through the chamber. I think it's calling for help, Harris said. The Vex charged, moving with surprising speed for its size. Derek fired a controlled burst from his rifle. The energy rounds hit the alien's chest but seemed to do little damage. The creature barely slowed. "Aim for the joints," Derek shouted as he rolled aside. The team adjusted their fire. Energy rounds struck where the exoskeleton segments connected. The Vex stumbled but kept coming. Knight dove forward, sliding beneath the alien's reach and fired upward into what they hoped was a vulnerable spot. The Vex collapsed with a shuddering cry. "Check if it's dead," Derek ordered. Harris approached cautiously, scanner extended. "Not dead. Some kind of shock state." "Good," Derek said. "Secure it. We're taking a specimen back with us." They continued deeper into the ship, encountering 2 more Vex. These fights went faster as they applied what they'd learned, targeting joint areas and what appeared to be sensory organs. In what was clearly the command center, they found data, terminals. "Download everything," Derek ordered Knight, who was their tech specialist. "We need to understand their communications, their tactics." As Knight worked, alarms suddenly blared. Red lights flashed throughout the ship. "Self-destruct sequence," Knight reported, fingers flying over her device. "They'd rather destroy the ship than let us have it." "How long?" Derek demanded. 3 minutes, maybe less. "Grab what you can and move out, now." They ran through the corridors, Knight still downloading data as they moved. Harris and another Marine dragged the unconscious Vex between them. They reached their entry point with seconds to spare, diving into their shuttle and detaching just as explosions began to rock the Vex vessel. The shuttle shot away as the scout ship erupted into flames, then imploded into the vacuum of space. Back on the horizon, the captured Vex was secured in a makeshift containment area in the cargo bay. The creature had regained consciousness but remained motionless, its many eyes tracking every movement of the humans who studied it from a safe distance. "The data we recovered is fascinating," Alan said, reviewing the information on his tablet. "The Vex operate as a collective consciousness. Each individual is connected to the whole, but can function independently if cut off." "Like a hive mind?" Samantha asked. "Similar, but more advanced. Each Vex contains a complete copy of their collective knowledge, but follows commands from what they call the Sovereign, their leader." Kelly had been examining the Vex technology they'd recovered. "Their weapons are incredible. They don't just damage shields, they unravel them at the quantum level, but they're specifically calibrated to Elorian shield frequencies." "Can they be adjusted to target our shields?" Derek asked. "Eventually, yes," Kelly admitted, "but it would require time and data they don't have yet." Noah had been observing the captured Vex, attempting to establish communication. "It refuses to respond to any of our attempts at dialogue. I believe it's waiting for orders." A communications officer interrupted them. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth." On the main screen, General Murphy appeared. He looked tired, but determined. "Captain Wells, your report has been received and reviewed at the highest levels. The President has authorized full military support for the Elorian people." Samantha felt relief wash over her. "How soon can we expect reinforcements, sir?" "The fleet is already on the way. Admiral Grace Martinez commands from the flagship Defender. 30 vessels, including our newest destroyers and carriers. ETA 48 hours. Derek whistled softly. 30 ships. That's nearly half of Earth's space fleet. "The decision was unanimous," Murphy said. "The Vex represent a clear threat, not just to the Elorians, but potentially to Earth as well. And," he paused, "humanity will not stand by while another species faces extinction, not when we can help." After the communication ended, Samantha turned to her team. "We have 48 hours to prepare. Noah, take our findings to the Elorians. Work with them to develop targeting strategies against the Vex. Kelly, see if we can adapt some of our weapons to be more effective against that exoskeleton. Derek, I want defense plans for both the station and the planet." "What about our guest?" Alan asked, nodding toward the contained Vex. "Keep trying to communicate," Samantha ordered, "and study it. Every weakness we find is an advantage." On the Elorian station, the news of Earth's response spread quickly. Ambassador Zilnara met with Samantha in a room overlooking the blue planet below. 30 ships, the ambassador said, voice filled with wonder. Your people are committing so much for a species they've only just met. It's what humans do, Samantha replied simply. The Vex will not expect this, Zielnara said. They believe all intelligent life thinks as they do, taking what benefits them and discarding the rest. Then they've never encountered humans. Before? Samantha smiled. We're stubborn that way. A young Elorian entered and whispered to the ambassador, whose skin patterns brightened with alarm. What is it? Samantha asked. Long-range sensors have detected a massive jump signature, Zielnara said. The main Vex fleet has altered course. They're coming directly for us at maximum speed. How long? 36 hours, perhaps less. Samantha's expression hardened. Then we need to be ready when they arrive. And we need to hold until our fleet gets here. The ambassador's pattern shifted to something Samantha hadn't seen before. Colors that seemed to represent determination. We will fight beside you, Captain Wells. The Elorians may not be natural warriors, but we can learn. And we'll teach you, Samantha promised, thinking of Earth's long, bloody history. For once, all those millennia of warfare might serve a greater purpose than just human conflict. The first test was coming, and it would arrive before their reinforcements. The Horizon and the Elorians would face the Vex alone. The next day passed in a blur of preparation. The Horizon's crew worked alongside Elorian engineers to strengthen the station's defenses. Kelly led a team that modified the station's shield frequencies, making them less vulnerable to Vex weapons. Derek trained Elorian security forces in combat tactics they had never needed before. Your bodies are more fragile than ours, he explained to a group of tall, blue-skinned Elorians. But your minds are just as sharp. Use distance and cover. Don't try to match the Vex in strength. The Elorians were quick learners. What they lacked in natural aggression they made up for in precision and coordination. By the end of the training sessions, Derek felt a grudging respect for their adaptability. Meanwhile, Noah made a breakthrough with the captured Vex. It's not speaking because it can't, he reported to Samantha. At least not without the hive mind connection. It's like a computer without an operating system. Can we use that? Samantha asked. Maybe. Noah looked thoughtful. If we could disrupt the connection between the Vex ships and their command vessel. Alan joined them, excitement clear on his face. The Elorians have been analyzing the data. We recovered. The Vex communication system uses quantum entanglement. Theoretically, we could create a disruption field. How large of a field? Samantha asked. Not large enough for the entire fleet, Alan admitted, but maybe enough to target their command ship. If we can isolate the Sovereign, the rest might lose coordination, Samantha finished. Get Kelly on it. 24 hours before the Vex. Fleet's expected arrival. The station's long-range sensors detected a new signal. Multiple jump signatures detected, reported an Elorian operator. But these aren't Vex patterns. On the main screen, space seemed to ripple and tear. Ships emerged from the jumps. Human ships, their Earth Defense Force markings clear, against their dark hulls. They're early, Samantha breathed, relief washing over her. The communications officer turned, smiling. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Defender. Admiral Grace Martinez appeared on screen. She was in her 50s with short gray hair and the bearing of someone used to command. Captain Wells, looks like we arrived just in time. For the party. Admiral? Samantha saluted. You're 12 hours ahead of schedule. We pushed the engines past recommended limits, Martinez said with a slight smile. Earth wasn't about to let you face this alone. What's the situation? The main Vex fleet is expected in 12 hours. We've been preparing defenses and developing strategies based on our encounter with a scout ship. Good work. I'm sending shuttles with additional personnel and equipment. I want you to brief my command staff in 1 hour. The briefing took place in the station's largest meeting room. Elorian and human officers gathered around a holographic display showing the approaching Vex fleet. Over 100 ships of various sizes, with one massive vessel at the center. That's the command ship, Samantha explained, pointing to the largest vessel. Based on our intelligence, it houses the Sovereign, the central mind controlling the Vex collective. Kelly stepped forward. Working with Elorian scientists, we've developed a disruption device that could temporarily sever the connection between the Sovereign and the rest of the fleet, but it has to be delivered directly to the command ship. A strike team? Admiral Martinez asked. Yes, Derek answered. A small, fast ship might slip through their defenses while the main fleet engages them. Ambassador Zilnara spoke up. Our fastest scout ship has been modified with additional shielding. It could carry your team. Martinez studied the tactical display. This is a high-risk operation if you're captured. The alternative is worse, Samantha said firmly. The Vex won't stop with Eloria. Every species in this sector is at risk, including humans. The Admiral nodded. Who leads the strike team? I will, Samantha said. With Commander Johnson and Dr. Patterson, we've studied the Vex the most closely. Martinez looked like she might object, then nodded. Very well. The rest of us will engage the main fleet. Our goal is to create enough chaos to cover your approach. As the Vex fleet approached, final preparations were made. The Elorian scout ship, renamed Spear for the mission, was loaded with the disruption device, a complex piece of technology that looked deceptively simple. On the Horizon's bridge, Alan embraced Samantha before she left for the mission. Be careful, he said. We still don't know everything about them. That goes both ways, she replied with a grim smile. They don't know everything about us either. The human fleet took position around Eloria Station and the planet below. 30 ships against more than 100. The odds were poor, but Earth vessels were more heavily armed and armored than their Elorian counterparts. When the Vex fleet arrived, they came all at once, dropping out of jump space in perfect formation. Their ships were like dark mountains, against the stars bristling with weapons. All ships battle positions, Admiral Martinez ordered. Remember your training. These monsters have never faced humans before. Let's show them why that was a mistake. The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. Quantum disruptors from the Vex side, energy beams and missiles from the human and Elorian ships. The first wave of Vex fighters broke against the human line. 3 Earth destroyers took heavy damage in the initial exchange, but their shields held long enough for them to return fire. A Vex cruiser erupted into flames as concentrated fire from 5 human ships tore through its hull. In the chaos of battle, the small scout ship Spear slipped away from the station, engines burning hot as it circled wide around the battle zone. Inside, Samantha, Derek, and Noah strapped into their seats as the Elorian pilot executed maneuvers that would have torn a human body apart without proper protection. Approaching the blind spot in their sensor grid, the pilot reported, voice strained. Stand by for final approach. Through the viewports, they could see the massive Vex command ship. It was the size of a small city, with a design that seemed more organic than mechanical, as though it had grown rather than been built. There, Derek pointed to a section of the hull. That looks like a maintenance dock. The pilot nodded and adjusted course. The Spear's engines went silent as they drifted the final distance using only maneuvering thrusters. With a gentle bump, magnetic clamps secured them to the Vex ship. 30 minutes, Samantha told the pilot. If we're not back by then, leave without us and inform the Admiral that the mission failed. The 3 humans donned their combat suits and checked their weapons. The disruption device was secured in a backpack carried by Noah. Remember, Samantha said as they prepared to exit. We need to reach the central chamber where the Sovereign is located. Place the device, activate it, and get out. No heroics. Derek checked his rifle one last time. With all due respect, Captain, this entire mission counts as heroics. Noah smiled nervously. The Elorians would say we're living up to their expectations of humans. Then let's not disappoint them, Samantha replied, securing her helmet. Humanity's reputation is at stake. The airlock opened and they stepped onto the hull of the enemy ship. Behind them, the battle for Eloria raged across the stars. Ahead lay the heart of the Vex Collective, and their most dangerous mission yet. The inside of the Vex command ship was like a massive living organism. Corridors pulsed with strange light. The air was thick and humid, carrying scents that the humans' filters couldn't fully block. Stay quiet, Samantha whispered. though their helmets allowed them to communicate without sound. According to the Elorian intel, the central chamber should be 10 levels up. They moved carefully, using the ship's strange design to their advantage. Unlike human vessels with their logical layouts, the Vex ship seemed grown rather than built. It created many hiding places and alternate routes. They encountered the first Vex guards at a junction of 3 corridors. 4 of the large aliens stood in formation, their exoskeletons gleaming in the dim light. Their multiple eyes constantly scanned the area. Derek signaled for them to pull back around a corner. 4 of them, no way around, he said. We'll have to take them out quickly and quietly. If we alert the ship, we're done, Samantha replied. Use the stun grenades. Noah looked nervous but determined. Remember, the Vex have enhanced sensory organs at the base of their necks. That's their weak point. Samantha nodded and pulled a small device from her belt. An Elorian stun grenade modified to affect Vex physiology. She activated it and rolled it around the corner. There was a flash of blue light and the sound of heavy bodies falling. They moved quickly, finding the 4 Vex guards twitching on the floor, their eyes blinking rapidly but bodies paralyzed. It worked, Noah said, sounding relieved. For now, Derek replied grimly. Keep moving. They found an access shaft that would take them upward. The climb was difficult. The shaft wasn't designed for humanoid bodies. They had to brace against walls, slick with some kind of secretion. Twice they had to hide as Vex drones passed below them. After 20 minutes of climbing, they reached the level that housed the central chamber. Here, the pulsing of lights was stronger, almost like a heartbeat. The device is ready, Noah said, checking the disruption unit in his pack. But I'll need 3 minutes to calibrate it once we're in position. Let's hope we have 3 minutes, Samantha replied. They approached a massive doorway that curved like a rib cage. Beyond it, they could see a vast chamber filled with a blue-green glow. Vex moved about, attending to various stations around a central structure that rose from floor to ceiling. That has to be it, Noah whispered. The central node. How do we get past all of them? Derek asked, counting at least 20 Vex in the chamber. Samantha studied the room. We need a distraction. Before they could form a plan, alarms blared throughout the ship. The Vex in the chamber became agitated, moving quickly to different stations. Something's happening with the fleet, Derek said, checking a small device that monitored comm traffic. Through their earpieces, they heard Admiral Martinez's voice, breaking through on an emergency channel. Strike team, if you can hear this, we've broken through their front line. The Defender is making a direct run at the command ship. You have 10 minutes before we hit it with everything we've got. That's our distraction, Samantha said. Move. They charged into the chamber as most of the Vex rushed to other areas of the ship. Only 5 remained near the central node. Derek fired precise shots at the weak points Noah had identified, dropping 3 before the others realized what was happening. The last 2 turned and charged. Samantha met one head-on, rolling under its massive arms and firing up into its neck. Derek grappled with the other, his enhanced combat suit giving him just enough strength to hold it back while Noah circled and shot it from behind. Clear, Derek called. Noah, get to work. Noah rushed to the central node while Samantha and Derek took defensive positions. The node was a towering structure of crystal and metal, pulsing with energy. At its center was a chamber filled with a thick fluid, and floating within it was something they hadn't expected. The Sovereign, Noah breathed. The creature was nothing like the other Vex. It had no exoskeleton, no limbs. It was simply a massive brain-like organ, with countless tendrils extending from it, connecting to the ship itself. That's what controls the entire Vex collective? Samantha asked, staring at the bizarre organism. It makes sense, Noah replied, working quickly to attach the disruption device to the base of the node. Maximum processing power, minimum resource use. The perfect biological computer. The tendrils of the Sovereign began to pulse more rapidly, as if sensing their presence. The fluid in the chamber bubbled and churned. It knows we're here, Derek warned, pointing his weapon at the chamber. 2 more minutes, Noah said, fingers flying over the device's controls. The ship suddenly shook violently, throwing them all to the floor. Through the chamber's windows they could see explosions as the human fleet engaged the command ship directly. "Out of time," Samantha said, helping Noah up. "Set it now." "It won't be properly calibrated," Noah protested. "Better than nothing," she insisted. Noah nodded and made a final adjustment. "Done. 30 seconds to activation." They turned to leave, only to find their exit blocked by a group of Vex warriors. Unlike the others they'd encountered, these were larger with more heavily armored exoskeletons. "Elite guards," Derek guessed, raising his weapon. "We can't beat them all," Samantha said, glancing at Noah's wrist timer. 20 seconds to activation." The Vex advanced slowly, as if confident in their superiority. The three humans backed toward the central node. "I'll hold them off," Derek said suddenly. "You two get back to the ship." "We're not leaving you," Samantha replied firmly. 10 seconds, Noah warned. The lead Vex warrior charged. Derek met it with concentrated fire, aiming for the joints in its armor. Samantha fired past him, targeting the others. 5 seconds, Noah called. The chamber filled with weapons fire. Derek took a hit to his leg, armor smoking where the Vex weapon had struck. Samantha pulled him back as Noah continued the countdown. 3, 2, 1. The disruption device activated with a high-pitched whine. Blue energy rippled outward from it, washing over the central node. The fluid around the Sovereign turned cloudy. Its tendrils thrashed wildly. The effect on the Vex warriors was immediate. They staggered, their coordinated attack falling into chaos. Some dropped their weapons, others fell to their knees. "It's working!" Noah shouted. "The connection is severed." Samantha helped Derek to his feet. "Now we run." They fought their way back through the ship, facing only disorganized resistance. Without the Sovereign's guidance, the Vex moved like confused animals rather than skilled warriors. When they reached the Elorian scout ship, the pilot was waiting anxiously. "Did you succeed?" he asked as they stumbled aboard. "See for yourself," Samantha replied, pointing through the viewport. Throughout space around them, the Vex fleet was falling into disarray. Ships collided or fired on each other. Some simply drifted, weapons silent. The human and Elorian vessels pressed their advantage, concentrating fire on the now vulnerable enemy ships. As the scout ship detached from the command vessel and accelerated away, they witnessed the final assault. The Defender and 5 other Earth ships unleashed a barrage of missiles at the Vex command ship. Without coordinated defenses, the massive vessel couldn't withstand the attack. It broke apart in a series of spectacular explosions. 1 week later, Samantha stood with Ambassador Zeel Nara on an observation deck overlooking Eloria. The planet shone blue and beautiful below them. In orbit, human and Elorian ships worked together to clear the debris of battle. "The remaining Vex ships have retreated from this sector," Zeel Nara said. "Without the Sovereign, they have no central direction. They are no longer a unified threat." "They'll adapt eventually," Samantha replied. "Find a new Sovereign, perhaps, but you'll be ready when they return." The ambassador's skin patterns shifted to show gratitude. "Because of humanity. You answered our call when no one else would." Admiral Martinez joined them, nodding respectfully to the ambassador. "The President has approved a permanent Earth defense station in Elorian space. If the Vex return, they'll find humans waiting for them. The first official human outpost beyond our solar system," Samantha noted. "And not the last," Martinez said. "Word of what happened here has spread. We've received transmissions from 3 other species in nearby systems. They want to establish relations with Earth." "Are they afraid of us or impressed by us?" Samantha asked. Zeel Nara's patterns showed what Samantha had learned was amusement. "Perhaps both. You are the deadliest beings we know, but you use that strength to protect, not conquer," Martinez smiled. "I can think of worse reputations to have in this galaxy." As they spoke, more ships appeared in the distance. Civilian vessels from Earth bringing scientists, diplomats, and engineers to help rebuild what the Vex had destroyed. Humanity had answered a cry for help and found their place among the Ya stars, not as conquerors but as protectors. The galaxy's deadliest beings had become its guardians.